the course Introduction to Windows Operating System. And today we're going to learn about IP address. So you can see where it's located in the course outline. So that's the second learning objective for course outcome 2. So for what you have done the server installation 2008, and you have done the initial configurations. You already used the IP address. We gave you 4 blocks of numbers, and you used it, but without understanding what it was. So you're going to learn what is it. Okay? So before I start with the content, let me tell you a story. Because in 1995, when I first started using internet, actually the internet was in my dad's room, but then I started my bachelor in 1995, and I got the internet connection, but there was a download limit. It wasn't unlimited. So the ISP provider would give us download limit, and they'll give us a download tracker so that we can track how much we are downloading, so we don't go up above the limit. So what happened, I noticed that whenever I download a file and check the property of the file, right-click and check the property in Windows Explorer and see the size, but the download tracker was showing that I downloaded above the size. Okay? So let's say, for instance, after I downloaded a file, the file size is 1 megabyte. And if you don't know what is a megabyte, let's say it's a unit, 1 unit. But the download tracker was showing me that I downloaded 1.1 unit. So what happened? I called the customer service of the ISP provider and asked them, look, you go to this website, you download this file, after you download, check the file size, but your download tracker would say that you downloaded more than that. I said 0.1. So what is that? So you must be cheating with me, right? Because my dad was paying the bill. And, so does anyone know what was happening? Any idea?
Yeah. They are counting in binary and translating that directly into metric.
Well, yeah, of course, things happen in binary. We know, if you know, understand computers, that things get converted before it gets transferred. But what was that overhead? The download tracker, like why was it showing above the size of the file? Parity checks, well, you're a little advanced, I don't think that people understand. So for parity check, you have to put some more information about the data. Okay, so we got the answer here. So let's say you're downloading a file, it's coming from a server. So you do a Google search, and it gives you a list of links, and you click on the link. So you're requesting some sort of file, and you click on download. So what's happening, the file is coming from the server to your computer. So who makes sure that the data reaches the destination, right? So it's not just data. In order for the machine, let's say the intermediate router, sure you heard of the term the router, it's the intermediate machine that makes sure where to route the data. Because when you download a file from a server, there are lots of intermediate nodes, okay, that's taking care that the data reaches the destination. So it's if you throw just the data, it's not going to make the destination. So the machine need to know where to forward. And in order to do that, you need to know some more information, like where to send next. And IP address is part of it. IP stands for Internet Protocol. And what is a protocol? In computer language, it's a set of rules to communicate between machine to machine. So it's not only the IP address, it's just part of that overhead. There's some more information that should be covered in networking class that what are those overhead. But know that IP address is part of that overhead. So without the address, the machine wouldn't know where to send the data. Okay? So now you got your answer that the download tracker wasn't actually cheating us. It's the overhead that has to sit with the data so that the data reaches the destination. Right. The other reason you need to learn about it, let's say if you ever try to run your own business and you want to host your server, because we are dealing with server, and you learn how to install the Windows 2008 server in the previous 2 classes. So if you want to host your own website, you want to know about IP address. on the ISP, whether they're giving you static IP or dynamic IP. You don't want your IP address to change. Okay? But if you have normal connection from Bill, Roger, or Acronet, I'm sure they're giving you the dynamic address, so your IP is constantly changing. But if you're trying to run your own business and hosting your website in your server, which you're learning in this course, you might want to have a static IP. That's another reason you need to learn this. Okay, well, so the agenda is supplied to you in the agenda, so we're going to do a demo, how you can find out the IP address of your system, and then we'll form a group, and I supply you another content that has a table in it, and you're going to do some exercise, and finally I'll introduce you to the assignment, and there's a 1-minute paper for feedback of this lesson. Okay, so to talk about a bit of history, do you ever wonder that who is selling this IP address, or who owns the internet, who is dealing with this? Well, no one owns the internet. And the history, it all started with the project ARPANET in the 60s in the Department of Defense, U.S. Department of Defense. They were trying to communicate with computers. And the main research was happening in the University of Southern California. So ICANN stands for Internet Corporation of Assigning Names and Numbers. They later changed name to IANA, Assigning Names and Numbers. So they are the one who deals with these addresses. And then you have the 5 regional registries. Older days it used to be only 13 group servers all over the continent. And then finally your ISP purchases those IP addresses and gives you the IP address so your family can use it at home. Okay? Right, so I showed you the command line and the few commands of Windows in last class. So you should know how to open command line. And go to the start button, type MD, and the command to get to know your IP address of your system. Yep, IP config in Windows. If you're a Mac user and you're learning Windows, you get to know the system preferences. If you're a Unix user, it's isconfig. Okay. And if you need to know more about this command, so let me clear my screen. Okay, that will give you the options available with these commands. ipconfig /?. Okay. So let's proceed with the types of addresses. Now, there are different types. Today you might have heard IPv6 version 6, but we'll learn IPv version 4, that's the most basic one, then we'll move to IPv6. And you know about the Y2K problem they were having. What was that problem?
Running out of numbers.
Yeah, running out of space actually. For a year you had only 2 positions. So you go 91, 1991, 92, you come up to 1999, then you add up 1 and go back to 0. So whether it's the beginning of the century or the next century, that was the problem they were having, so running out of space. And that's the same problem they were having with IPv version 4, so they moved into version 6. And now, IPv version 4, I just did an IP config, and that's where you're interested at the moment. So you see 4 blocks of number, which you used in the last class after you installed Windows and in your initial configuration process. That's the version 4 at the moment we are interested. And try to note this because we will cover this in the next lesson, the subnet mask, default gateway, and IPv6. Okay, so it's a 4 blocks of numbers. Now, the numbers can start with 0, and what's the maximum one? Well, you can figure out that. So let me tell you, these numbers, you can see, you can read these 4 blocks of numbers. Because that's the way we human understand. Oh, if I have a hard time reading this number, let me open Internet Explorer. So you have 4 blocks of number. Let's say here example is 172.16.254. not 1. We understand this. The computer doesn't understand how we human understand. In the hardware level, it's only voltage difference. There is a positive voltage or negative voltage or no voltage. It's either 0 or 1. Okay? So the way they design the version 4 is each block is called octet because there are 8 bits. Okay? So to represent each block of number, they're using 8 bits, and bit is the minimum unit, the computer understands. You have 8 bits, and you have 8 bits in the next block for octet. You have another 8 bits in the next block for octet, and the final one. Okay? So that's how it's organized. So what do you think the maximum would be of a block? Can anyone say?
255.
Yeah, how's that?
1
2 to the point of 8, to the power of
2 to the power of 8.
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah.
256 is starting from 0 to 50.
Right, so the answer was 2 to the power 8. Why this is 8? Because there are 8 bits. Okay, and why this is 2?
Because it's 0 or 1.
Because the base is 2, 0 or 1. Okay, and the way it goes, it's like if I give you one position to fill out a decimal system, so how many digits we have in decimal? 9? 10. Okay, 0 to 9, it's 10. And you go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 9, 10. Okay, so you can fill out one position in decimal 10 different ways. Right, it could be 0 or 1 or 2 or 3. If I give you two positions, how many different ways you can fill out using decimal system?
2.
Well,
Oh, sorry.
No.
2 positions, so that would be 10 squared. Right? So you go up to 99, starting from 0, and 10 squared is 100. Right? So that's the same thing we are using 2 to the power 8. Okay, so let me tell you about the organization of these numbers. So there are 2 parts. If you're looking at your handout, the one that has a table, so it's got 2 parts, the network part and the host part. Okay, the network part, so it's classified. You can see from the table there are 5 classes of IP address: class A, B, C, D, and E. And you define each class by looking at the first octet. That means looking at the first octet, looking at the number range, you decide which category it falls under. Okay. So class A, if you're looking at the table, 1 to 126, some people would say it goes from 0, but 0 is reserved for research purpose. Class B goes from 128 to 191, we have it here. And class C, 192, 2 to 3, and the remaining are for multicasting and for experimental reuse. So looking at the first octet, you know what class is it. Okay? And each class having a network person and a host person. And what is a network person? It's like, let's say you have 2 labs of 26 computers, another lab having 26 computers. So this is one network, this is another network. Okay? So you can say, you can give the network number. Let's say 1 is the first network, and it got 26 hosts, and 2 is the second network, and it got 26 hosts. And so the first number, 1, and then you can go host number 1, you can go host number 2, you can go up to 26. Okay? So looking at the first number, you can say, okay, this host is from network 1, and that network is located wherever is 1. Okay? And the same thing. So I got 2 parts, and you can see from the handout that the third column, the table is supplied that the class A, the first block is for networking, and the whole 3 blocks are for hosting. And so for class B and class C, 2 blocks for class B for networking, 3 blocks for class C for networking. Okay, right. Whoa. 2 minutes, I'm going to take 2 more minutes. So I'm going to break it down into groups, 2 groups, and you have some group work. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4 person in a group. Okay. There's 4.
Maybe we have a speaker.
Come Sorry, since we are running out of time, so can there be a reporter just can read the question and throw the question to everyone? So let's say you're group one. So don't look at your group two. Yeah, you're in group one, the other in group two. So you should be looking at the questions.
Yeah, there it is. He gave the two power away, two different ways to express it. I don't know that necessarily matters.
Okay, so since we're almost running out of time, I'll do only one question from each group, the first one. Okay, for this is group two, so what's the first question for group two? Okay guys, so we're doing only one question. If you got your answer, so yes. So group two, what's the first question?
Group two.
Yeah,
139 is A.
it's 120.09.257 a valid IP address, like before? No, why not?
You can't have zeros, and you can't have 257.
Well, you can have 0, but 257, it's not possible.
257 is not.
Yeah, because the maximum we can go up to 255.
255.
Right? Okay. Question number one from group one, please.
A.
You just gave it.
2 to the power of
Yeah, well, I just gave it. Okay. The remaining question is there one question left from each group. Let's have it as exercise. Okay. Take home exercise. Although we have another exercise. That's actually rather practical. That is, what is the IP address of your home computer? And if you can tell what class is the IP address from, if your ISP provider is using class-based address. Okay, that's your take home. And either do a 1-minute paper. So I gave you a 1-minute sheet. So there should be 2 questions. So just take 1 minute and write down what was unanswered and what was the idea you might know. Thank you. How many minutes am I over? 2 plus, okay, well, I can ask anybody for a question. So while you're writing, if you have any question, you can ask me. Because I'm already 17 now.
I'm actually interested in the answer to question 2.
Question, which group are you?
Group 1. This is the largest network. I'm just curious if, well, what's the reference of largest?
Well, in terms of size, and
So
that
the
word
most
number,
numbers.
most number of computers. So what do you think now?
So I think,
Looking at the table?
I think yes, because it
Of course.
has the most numbers to fit in.
Host-wise, it's using 3 blocks. So a Class A network can have how many hosts?
2 to the power of 20.
256 into 256, yeah, into 256. It's a very big network. In fact, it's the largest network of all the classes. Any other question, comment? So I'm gonna collect my 1-minute paper. Thanks.
Are you done, Mohammed?
Yeah, that's good.